Buying an auction property from a bank foreclosure can be a very confusing process. I would know because I've done it a few times. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you guys along a real life deal that we did, specifically focusing on the bidding, how we got financing for the property, and the closing process for an auction property like this. A few months ago, I saw this property right here going up for auction. Now you're probably wondering, that looks like a brand new house. It's literally perfect, and that's because it was, but unfortunately it was foreclosed on, the bank took it over, and now it was getting listed for other people to bid on it and hopefully purchase it. As a real estate investor, although I thought I had absolutely zero chances of buying this property because it's a brand new house and investors are going to be all over it, I decided to follow along because as an investor, it's my duty to follow along the market and see what's moving. So although I wasn't planning on bidding on this property, I decided to attend the auction and see exactly how much it was going to sell for. And after about 30 minutes of people fighting back and forth over the property, it ended up selling for $320,000. Now, there was definitely something a little odd about this property in particular that I've never seen at an auction before. And that was the fact that the house kept getting re-auctioned, even after it was already theoretically sold. So I decided to dig a little deeper and see what was causing this and why the house was coming up back for sale time after time after time. Now, the first reason that was a little particular, however, I have seen this before, and it is the fact that the bank kept outbidding itself. So basically, the only person who was actually trying to win this property or to purchase it was the bank itself. They were basically trying to pump up the bid price so that somebody would come in and buy it for a more expensive price than what it was originally listed for as the starting bid. Number two that was really quirky on this case particularly was the fact that the reserve price kept getting lower every time that it went to auction. Now, usually you can't see what the reserve price is. It's kind of like a little secret, but because the bank kept outbidding itself, it kept raising the price higher and higher, and every time I noticed when it says reserve price hit, it was a number that was lower than what the previous reserve price was. So that meant that every time it was being re-auctioned, the reserve price was going down and down and down. And number three that was also really strange in this particular case was the fact that every time the auction was ending, the system or auction.com or the bank, I'm not really sure who coordinates this, they kept adding more seconds or minutes to the timer after it would run out. Yes, I've seen it get to zero and they would smack on another minute, hoping that an investor would swoop in last minute and purchase the property. Now, when it comes to buying auction properties, persistency is key, and you honestly just have to keep coming back, watch as you learn, and pick up the clues along the way, so hopefully you can compete. But don't take my word for it. Let's replay the moment where I was actually bidding on this property and I saw all of this stuff go down in real time during an auction. Now, I knew nothing about getting hard money loans for projects like this, but just because I didn't know something didn't mean that I couldn't learn it along the way. After doing some research, I realized that I was going to need a fix and flip loan specifically from a lender that would be willing to take on an auction property. Now, hard money loans work a little differently than traditional mortgages. They don't use your personal income to qualify for the mortgage. They actually use the property itself's ability to basically produce money. Now, after doing all of this research, I ended up stumbling across Kiavi.com, which is a hard money lender, and I decided to go ahead and submit all of my details to make sure that we could get pre-approved for this loan, that the property itself would qualify for it, and luckily it did, and they sent over the pre-approval. That way, when we put in the bid and hopefully they accept it, we had everything ready to go in order to get this deal going. Now, although this isn't sponsored by Kiavi, I do highly recommend them, so if you guys want to get pre-approved, make sure you check them out down below. And just so you guys can see how easy this really was, here's the real life moment of me figuring this all out in real time. So today we finally got the accepted contract back from the seller, which basically means that the bank agreed to our bid price and they actually sent the contract. So like legally you would have this through any purchase, whether it's through an auction house or just a regular buying a house. The only difference is obviously we can't get conventional financing because it is an auction. Going through the loan process, I already submitted a lot of documents, which I will feature here in another section because it's a lot of like legal paperwork and stuff. This is the little checkboard from auction.com. If you didn't know, this is like one of the better known auction websites that sell foreclosure properties, but this one was auctioned off by auction.com itself. They didn't list like a county auction. So basically this is all of the post bidding information that they need from you. So we have the purchase contact form, the purchase contract, which I signed. I had to have them revise a few details. The earnest money deposit, which we had to wire transfer to whatever title company we're using. And then the proof of funds for that, so the receipt. obviously the LLC document is basically just saying I'm the owner of X and X LLC. And then we have their review from auction.com, because sometimes they will not approve the final bid. However, I did reach the reserve price, so I figured that wouldn't happen. And the guy on the phone also said that it is rare that that would happen. And then yeah, today the seller signed the contract and we got it back. So basically this has been the last 3 days of all of the work that I've been doing. So basically we're just waiting on the loan details now, and hopefully it'll work out fast. And now we're gonna start to plan our exit, which is basically take pictures of the property, fix up the little details that we need to get done. After closing, of course, we can't do anything to it prior. And hopefully have it ready to list for sale as soon as we're like closed. Like I'm gonna go in the next day, do the little cosmetic rehab things that we have to do, and then boom, on the market, done deal. However, I did want to bring you guys along with this because specifically I'm using Kiavi for this loan. So this is basically the Kiavi little, I don't know what you call it, the little format. So basically we have like the dashboard. I already submitted all of the loans. They asked for stuff from your company because you have to buy it in an entity. Obviously my information because I'm buying it. General information, the property information, the rehab information. It's honestly a lot. Let me see if they'll actually bring me to it. Okay. So right here we can see all of the different things that they're gonna need, and I already uploaded everything. The last thing was the purchase contract, which I uploaded today because we just got it back signed from the seller, which is the bank. And then as for the terms, I didn't find them horrible for this kind of project, to be honest. We got a 10% interest rate on $170,000, which is roughly 80% of the loan to cost. Now, mind you, it is going to resell for a lot more. The estimated ARV is about 300K. So that's what this number is here. So basically we're borrowing almost half of what the actual cost is for when we go to resell it, and hopefully get the full asking price. So for an auction property or like a rehab buy and flip type of situation, you'll probably need inspection details. So like the little app that I showed you guys earlier. Okay, so it literally doesn't matter if you're buying from somebody else or from a bank or through an auction. You will need the purchase contract. This only doesn't apply if you buy like from a county, because they typically don't do that. It's a very different process than this. Then you'll need the property comps. So it's kind of optional, but Kiavi asked for them. So I sent them over through PropStream, which I got a free trial and I actually really enjoyed it, especially because it tells you whether or not there's liens on the property, which, if you know, is like one of the biggest risks with buying a foreclosure property. So I went ahead and did a little research on there and sent them over a cute little PDF with all the comps. And then we go into the property rehab management section, which basically they have like who's going to be responsible for the project and the rehab, the actual like what you're going to do, the scope of work, the details, and obviously the price breakdown as to how much you're going to need to actually rehab it. In our case, the house is literally turnkey, which still baffles me. But we do need to pressure wash the outside and get it clean because it has been abandoned for the last 2 years. And obviously just do like some routine maintenance checkup things, make sure everything is working. So we got that, and then third-party information. So basically need an insurance person ready to go. You send off the information. They ask for all the details that they need for this type of purchase, if you will, or like exit strategy, because it varies a little bit. And then obviously you'll need your closing agent information, which you'll get from the auction house, basically who's going to conduct the closing and who's responsible for it and where you're sending the money to, which you really want to call them and verify all of their details, including bank wiring instructions, to make sure that you're sending everything to the correct place. And then we have the borrow information. So basically we're buying this in an LLC. That's the only way to do it with this platform. So Kiavi obviously have to put it in an entity. Consider doing this a flip. And also, just to mention, I did want to originally BRRRR method this. However, if we look at the loan numbers, this is if we were to cash out refi into a DSCR loan, we're looking at roughly $2,000.72 a month for this property, and realistically it would rent for about $2,000, and that's on the high end. So in terms of a BRRRR method, this would not make much sense. However, for the flip, the numbers are a lot different. contracts. And then obviously the loan terms, so like how much you want to borrow, the interest rate on it, how much your monthly payments are going to be, the loan to cost, and the ARV value. So that way they can make sure that this is actually a good investment and that they're not going to get stuck with a house because of your bad math. So I think we're good there because numbers did add up. I did them like, I don't know how many times just to be sure, because this is a lot of risk and it is a lot of money. So we want to be 100% on our calculations and numbers. So we're gonna go out and take the pictures for the inspection for them, and hopefully we can get the show on the road. Usually they said for like your first to 4 exits, basically how many properties you've invested in. It's a little slower, but once you hit that 5 mark, they said it's about 7 days, which is really, really good and really competitive. So considering this is the 5th one that I'm gonna have in my portfolio, I think from here on out, we're gonna have some really good terms. And also the interest rate gets a little better, which is really nice. And we're gonna wait on the loan. We already have the contract. We have 45 days to close, which is super shocking to me, especially considering a lot of normal contracts, they're usually 45 days as well. But like if you buy from a county auction, usually you have literally 24 hours to go out and pay the full balance. But with this, you can actually get a loan, which is something I never even figured. But we're gonna go ahead and basically just wait it out at this point. There's really nothing much to do except obviously think about our exit strategies, get prepped for that. And yeah, I will update you guys when I have something, hopefully some good news soon, so that way we can get the show on the road. Once I submitted everything, it took roughly 35 days to get the title, the insurance, the lender, everyone all on the same page in order to get this closing done. Now, once I did all of my homework, I basically just sat back, relaxed until they emailed me and asked for something, until I got an email from the title company mentioning that there was a solar lien on this property, which honestly makes total sense because there were giant panels and a giant system there, but I just didn't think much of it at the time. But then again, we do deal with more older properties, so this was a little bit newer for us. Thankfully, after a few back and forths, we realized that the contract was transferable, so all I had to do was take over the old owner's basically liability and responsibilities for the solar panel and pay their minimum monthly fee every month in order to get this thing done. And as we can see, there's like dead bugs everywhere that we need to clean up, but I think we're gonna take care of all of this once we are like actually able to come inside and do some, you know, cleaning. I think not all the drawers close all the right way. We have this like backsplash that's really nice. It's honestly a pretty standard like builder grade home, but considering the price and the value of the houses in this area, honestly, this is an incredible deal. So once we had the solar lien figured out and all of the inspection pictures sent over, it took a few more days to get the insurance thing figured out, but we finally got the clear to close, or the final approval, yay, for us to close on the property. I'm like panicking, screaming, didn't get any sleep last night because it is closing day. And if you're watching this, this is definitely in the future because I have not said a word on any single social media platform. None of my friends know. Literally, like direct family knows, and that's about it. So I am itching to like reveal this to you guys, show you guys all of the details, like tell you how it went down, the story times. I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that my mom's gonna be there, who kind of started this whole journey with me. Thankfully, the closing obviously is remote because the title company is actually from North Carolina. Don't know how that happened. Actually, yes, I do. But the notary's coming to our office, so I'm gonna head over there now, have some celebratory coffee slash breakfast with my mom, and then we are gonna sign some documents, read and sign some documents, never just sign documents. Learn that the hard way. So yeah, let's go close on this house. This is the thick stack of paper that we just finished signing. Everything went all well. Closing is done. Once we finalized the documents and finished the closing process, the house was officially mine. Or at least my companies always put your investment properties into LLCs. But of course it doesn't stop there. Even though this is a brand new construction house, there were still a few little things to do, including changing the locks so that nobody else has access to the property, cleaning the house because it has been abandoned for quite some time and we don't want cockroaches walking around while we're showing it to potential buyers. And of course, to patch just some random holes and things from curtains that were left up, but that was pretty easy to do. After doing some minor renovations, doing some comp research, we finally put her on the market, and now we're just hoping for a very quick sale. But if you guys want to see that process, you'll just have to subscribe for the next video. Bye!